I'm going to attempt to start my engine in the next couple of minutes. I've just been around and topped up the carburetors with my tank. I've got a little plastic tank here. So I've connected up to the inlet ports here on both the carburetor banks, topped them up to top. I've actually squirted a tiny bit of fuel down each back of here, just to sort of help it go, and that's sort of percolating through at the moment as we speak. I've got my 3 sets of standard Z1 points ignition coils there, with my KH250 Boyer ignition system here. I've got a battery which hasn't got enough charge in it to actually crank the engine, so I'm going to use my Kickstarter. So I'll connect that up to there in a second. But she's basically all together. I've got no headers on it, so it's going to probably sound a bit spitty, but we'll see. I'm hoping it's going to go. So I have kicked it over a couple of times just to sort of get the hang of it. I have to stand on the table to do it, so it's a bit precarious, but well, I think this is it now. I'm a little bit nervous actually, but well, today is a very exciting day. I'm going to attempt to start my engine in the next couple of minutes.
Japan. One thing that has never changed the factory is that it turned upside down in the right direction. When each engine is finished, it begins a long trip through the factory, moving from the first floor up to the second floor, down to the basement, and back.
Tightened. All of these details will have an impact on the performance of the machine.
hat eine weltweit neuartige Motorentechnologie entwickelt. Auf Basis der doppelten Kurbelwelle ist es nun erstmals möglich, Hochleistungsdieselmotoren mit lediglich einem oder zwei zylinderstarken Vibrationen durch die doppelte Kurbelwelle eliminiert werden.
Italien, situé dans un rayon de 3, le reste du catalogue, dont la V7 Stone qu'on a essayé récemment, et toutes ses déclinaisons. Les moteurs entièrement assemblés, prêts à être montés dans les cadres. Ces V-Twins sortent pour leur part d'une autre chaîne de montage, située dans un autre bâtiment de l'usine. Au bout de la chaîne, les machines...
as every rider that comes from owning a motorcycle. But keeping riders on the road means that motorcycles must be as light and compact as possible, are combined into one crankcase. Remove the engine case halves and the compactness of the engine and transmission are readily apparent. A closer look reveals the hundreds of intricate components that make up the engine and transmission. A motorcycle lubricant must be specially formulated to protect all of those components. Not just the engine, but also the gearbox, which is subjected to extremely high pressures, and the metal-to-metal sliding contacts in the valve train, which place constraints on the lubricant as well, as does the clutch, which also operates within the crankcase. The clutch, which is housed underneath the engine's side cover, consists of several fibre discs and steel plates. Here, the motorcycle lubricant must provide vital cooling, while allowing for friction to develop between...
Today are the true marvels of engineering. A basic model of inner parts of a typical motorcycle is shown here. In this video, we will explain the basic function of each of these parts in a motorcycle. Let's begin from how a motorcycle engine starts. All motorcycles have either a kickstarter or a self-starter or both. A kickstarter mechanism is simple yet interesting. As the kickstarter lever is descended, a helical spline forces the gear to slide and engage with a freewheeling gear on the main shaft. As the lever is descended further, the gear spins on its axis and transfers the power to the clutch hub. The clutch hub transfers the power to the crankshaft and eventually to the engine. In a self-starter system, a battery-powered motor provides initial spin to the engine. Once the engine is started, the starter motor has to be disengaged from the crankshaft to prevent damage due to excessive speed. This is achieved by using a one-way clutch. The model shown here is of a roller-type one-way clutch. It has an outer race and an inner race with small rollers. As the starter motor spins the outer race in one direction, the rollers get trapped between the surfaces and the power is used for this purpose. The spark plug requires voltage in excess of 20,000 volts to fire properly. In this particular motorcycle, although a 12-volt battery may be used for the same purpose. The stator is the flywheel which revolves around the stator and produces alternating current in the coils. Output from the stator has different purposes, as shown here. The output for the ignition purpose is received from the exciter coil. This coil has a denser winding of thinner wire than the other coils to produce higher voltage for the ignition, known as the capacitive discharge ignition, or CDI unit. CDI is shown here. The primary function of the CDI unit is to store electric charge and dump the stored charge when required. A capacitor inside to dump this charge. The pickup coil has a small magnet with a coil of wire around it.